Before the holidays, we were doing chapter number 4. Actually, we finished it. And in this chapter, we learn how to find mixed strategy, Nash equilibrium. So the plan for today is that we will start chapter number 5, which is about the extensive form games with perfect information. So today, basically, we will have an introduction to the extensive form or dynamic form games. We will try to understand some basic tools, and I will explain these things to you with the help of some examples. So basically, we can divide game theory into two main branches. One is the static games, and the other one is the dynamic games. In static games, the players have to choose their actions simultaneously, whereas in dynamic games, the player choose actions one after the other, which means that player 1 takes the action and then player 2 looks at the action taken by player 1 and then he decides about his action. And then these static games can further be divided into static games with complete information and static games with incomplete information. And the main difference between complete information and incomplete information is that at least one of the player do not know the payoff function of the other player, and then it becomes incomplete information. Similarly, we can divide dynamic games into the dynamic games with complete information and dynamic games with incomplete information. So until now, we have finished static games with complete information, and now we are going to start dynamic games with complete information. So before going to explain you about the dynamic games, let me first explain you what the basic feature of the static games. And the simplest example of the static game is the penalty shootout, where there is a game between a striker and a goalkeeper. And striker has the choice to strike the ball towards left or right side of the goal pole, whereas the goalkeeper also have the choice to move towards the left side or the right side of the goal pole. But the important feature here is that both striker and the goalkeeper choose their action simultaneously. And then there is another very popular game, static games, which we discussed a lot, is Prisoner's Dilemma. So you might be wondering that in Prisoner's Dilemma, the players do not or suspect do not take the action simultaneously. Then why do we call them a simultaneous move game? The reason is that when player suspect 1 decides to choose to remain quiet or confess, he do not know the action taken by the other player and vice versa. So that is why we consider this prisoner's dilemma as a simultaneous move game, because one player or one suspect do not know the action taken by the other player. So basically the static games are called static because either the actions are taken simultaneously by all players, or they do not know the action of other player while choosing their own action. So now we can start dynamic or extensive form games. And as you know from the previous slide, that in dynamic games, one player moves after the other. So there is a timing structure. So basically in this dynamic form games, we have a set of players like we have in the static games. And then we have the timings. And by timings, we means that who moves when and under what circumstances. And then the third information about the game is the action and strategies. So basically, we would like to know what actions are available when one of the player is called upon to move, and then what he knows about the game when he is going to move. And finally, when the game ends, each player gets some payoff. And usually we explain these dynamic games with the help of a game tree. We can explain the dynamic games with the help of a very simple example. So let us we take the example of a firm who would like to enter into the market. And there is already one firm in the market who is producing the goods. So basically, it is a monopoly situation. And if the new firm decides to enter into the market, then the existing firm or the monopolist can, decides to accept the new firm and don't do anything. Or on the other hand, the monopolist can decide to do a price war so that the new firms do not enter into the market. But we also know that the price war is not also good for the monopolist. And if the monopolist wants to do the price war, if the new firm enters, then it is not good for the new firm to enter the market. We can understand the basic structure of the dynamic game with the help of a simple example, and we take the example of firm entry game. And in this game, we have a firm who wants to enter into a market. And so we call it form number one, and there are two actions available to this form. Either it can decide to enter into the market, or it can decide to stay out of the market. So if this firm decides to enter into the industry, then firm number two, which is the monopolist, can decide to accept this firm, and in that case the payoff to this new firm will be equal to 3, and the payoff to firm number 2 will be equal to 1. And this firm number 2 can also decide to do a price war, in which case the payoff to firm number 1 will be equal to 0, and the payoff to firm number 2 is also equal to 0, because price war is not good for both of them. And then if we go back to form number one, it can also decide to stay out. And if it decides to stay out of the market, and then in that case, the payoff to each firm will be equal to 2, which means they just keep their current profit. So this is, see a basic structure of the dynamic games, and one firm is choosing its action after the other firm. We can also understand the dynamic games with the help of another example, which is a game between big monkey and a little monkey. So both these monkeys would like to eat a fruit which is hanging on a very lofty branch of a tree. So this tree is only producing one fruit, and in order to get this fruit, one of the monkey has to go up on the tree to shake it so that the fruit can come down on the ground. And this fruit actually contains 10 calories of energy. For example, if the big monkey decides to go up on the tree, then it takes a lot of energy from the big monkey, and he will be using 2 of the calories. And then if the little monkey decides to go up on the tree, then he is so little, he does not need a lot of energy, so his energy consumption will be 0. And if little monkey decides to climb up on the tree, and the fruit will come down, but before he reaches the ground, the big monkey will eat 90% of the fruit. So the calories for big monkey will be equal to 9. And the remaining part of the fruit will go to the little monkey in this case, and his calorie intake will be equal to 1. And in another situation, if big monkey decides to climb up on the tree, and then again before he comes down, the little monkey will eat 40% of the fruit. In that case, his calories will be 4, and the big monkey will eat the remaining 60%, so his calorie intake will be equal to 6. And then another situation could be that both of these monkeys decide to go up on the tree, and in this case the big monkey will get 70% of the fruit, and the little monkey will get 30% of the fruit. And in this game, we are just trying to assume that the objective of these two monkeys is to maximize their calories intake. So now we would like to see how the game will look like, or what will be the game tree if big monkey decides to climb up on the tree, and what will be the likely structure of the game if little monkey decides to go up on the tree. Okay, so let us now define the basic structure of a dynamic game. And dynamic game actually consists of four elements. Number one is the players, and number two is the timing of the game, which we can represent in the form of game tree. And then what are the actions and strategies available to each player, and then finally what are the payoffs. And the game ends at the terminal node where each player gets some payoff. And this dynamic game has a tree property, which means that there is only one path from the root to any of the terminal node. So now we can also explain our big monkey and little monkey game in the form of a dynamic game. The first thing that we need to know is that what are the players. So in this game we have two players, that is big monkey and a small monkey. And then the second thing in the dynamic game is the timing. And in this game we have two possibilities. In possibility number one, big monkey decides to move first, and then little monkey will move at the second place. And another possibility is that little monkey decides to move first, and then the big monkey takes his action. So basically there are two possibilities as far as timings of the game is concerned. And then the action and strategies we have to talk about, and we know that there are two actions available to each monkey, that is to whether to wait or to climb up on the tree. And then in dynamic games, there is a difference between action and strategies. And I will explain you that difference in a later slide. But right now, we just talking about the actions available to both players. And the actions are wait or climb. And then finally, we have to write down the payoff, which is in terms of calories. Let us now represent our game in the form of a tree chart. And we are taking the first possibility of the timing of the game where Big Monkey decides to move first. So if Big Monkey decides to move first, then he has two possibilities. Either he can wait, which is represented by W, or he can climb up on the tree, which is represented by C. So if Big Monkey decides to wait, then there is a possibility for little monkey to act. So we are on the left side of the game tree. So big monkey decides to wait, and the little monkey is now have a choice between he wait or if he climb up on the tree. And if little monkey decides to wait, then the payoff to both players will be equal to 0, 0. Why? Because both monkeys are not climbing up on the tree, they are waiting for each other. So in this case, the fruit will not come down and their payoff will be equal to 0, 0. And then in the second situation, the little monkey can decides to climb up on the tree. So if the little monkey climbs up on the tree, then the fruit will come down, of course, but until he comes down, the big monkey will eat 90% of the fruit. So the calories intake for big monkey will be 9 in this case, and the little monkey will get only 10% of the fruit, which means his payoff will be equal to only 1. And this was the left side of the game, and now we go back to the big monkey and see what happens if he decides to climb up on the tree. So if he decides to climb up on the tree, then the little monkey has a chance to play against it. So again, the little monkey has a choice between waiting for the waiting down, or if he is climbing up on the tree. So if he decides to wait for the fruit, then the fruit will come down and he will eat 40% of the fruit before the big monkey comes down. So the big monkey will get 60% of the fruit. But look at the payoff. The payoff for the big monkey will be equal to 4. Why? Because he gets 6 calories from the fruit, but 2 of the calories will be consumed because he decided to go up on the tree. Whereas the little monkey will get 4 calories because he is not using any energy. And then the little monkey can also decide to climb up on the tree. So in this case, remember the payoff for the big monkey will be 70% of the fruit, and the payoff for the little monkey will be 30% of the fruit. But the payoff, the final calorie in the form of calories, the big monkey will get 5 calories because he has to use 2 calories while going up on the tree, for going up on the tree. And then the little monkey will get 3 calories because he do not use any calories. So this is the representation of the dynamic game. But remember that in this game, big monkey decides to move first. So we can also represent this game in case of another possibility where the little monkey decides to move first. So in this case, again, the little monkey has two possibilities or two actions available. One action is that he wait, and the other action is that he climb up on the tree. So if he decides to wait for the fruit, then there are two actions available for big monkey. So he can decide to wait as well, or he can decide to climb up on the tree. So the if big monkey also decides to wait, then it means that there will be no fruit, so the payoff for both player will be equal to 0 0. On the other hand, if the big monkey decides to climb up on the tree, then the payoff with the big monkey will be equal to 4, and the payoff for the little monkey will also be equal to 4. Why? Because when big monkey goes up, the little monkey will consume 40% of the fruit, so his calories will be equal to 4. But the payoff for big monkey will be equal to 4. Why? Because when he comes down, he will use 2 calories for going up and coming down, so his payoff will be equal to 4 because he gets 60% of the fruit. And now we look at the other situation where the little monkey decides to climb up on the tree. Okay, and in this case, again, the big monkey will have choices to two actions to take, any one of the two actions. One is he wait, and in that case he will get 90% of the fruit, so his payoff will be equal to 9, and the little monkey will only get 1. On the other hand, if the big monkey also decides to go up, and if you remember, when both monkeys go up, the big monkey gets 70% and little monkey gets 30% of the fruit. So the payoff for the little monkey will be equal to 3 because he do not use any energy to climb up, whereas the payoff for the big monkey will be equal to 5 because he will be using 2 calories to climb up on the tree. So you can see that this game is quite different, or the games are quite different depending upon which monkey is moving up on the tree. So here in this game, it is the big monkey who is moving first, and in the upper part we have the game where little monkey is moving first. So you can see both of these games are quite different. So the timings are very, very important in the dynamic games. Okay, so this is the end of this first video. I hope you understand the basic structure of the dynamic games. And in the next video, I will explain you what is the difference between action and strategies in dynamic game, and then how to find the equilibrium of dynamic games. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the video.